Good morning, Boker Tov.
Boker
Hi,
Tov.
Mark. Wow, good to see you again. And great to have you here. Let's try to take the next roughly 15 minutes to talk about where Teva is today. I left Teva about 10 years ago, but it's still close to my heart and I follow it closely. And let's see what's shaping the road ahead for this amazing Israeli-based company. So it's a very different chapter in the company story now. And from your perspective, what has enabled Teva's wonderful turnaround, and what makes you most optimistic about its future?
Hi. So first of all, it's great to see you again. And I think a couple of things. So I think first of all, Teva, just to provide a bit of context, Teva is going through a major transformation. And I think I would like to link that first to everything that we heard this morning, because Teva is going through a transformation in a context and in an ecosystem that is going through a revolution. And we heard about that today. So combining those two elements together sits what we are putting a lot of emphasis in Teva, which is innovation. But basically, in 2023, we started a very comprehensive strategic process across Teva. After several years of top line declining, losing our path, to be honest, we basically came with a very clear strategy to go back to growth. Now, when it's quite easy to come and to say that, most of the other corporates, when they are working through a strategic exercise, their aspiration is to go back to growth. But one of the things that we basically saw in Teva, when we looked really, really inside, that we have growth engines, especially within the R&D, especially within the innovative medicine, that can really fuel this aspiration to go back to growth. So a lot of the capital focus as part of the pivot to growth strategy was about transforming the company across all its pillars, or business pillars, but first and foremost to be extremely precise on putting all the emphasis from a capital point of view on our innovative pipeline that now is coming to fruition, by the way, 3 years after, not only being recognized by the external world, but also being considered one of the significant one with a potential peak sales of $10 billion for the next couple of years. So in a nutshell, we started that transformation. And as we move, we basically also gradually focus on other pillars within our strategy. In terms of our business performance altogether, it's our generic business as well. We were known for many, many years as a leader in the generic business. We still are. We basically started to transform also the generics and the biosimilars and certain other segments of the business that brought us to where we are today. Very optimistic story.
And you recently launched a Teva Rise program. You are the sponsor in the management for that, to infuse innovation into Teva. Why was Israel such an important part of the Teva Rise program? How can the Israeli healthcare ecosystem contribute and play a role in Teva's innovation efforts?
I think, first of all, it was clear to us that in order to start this transformation journey of Teva to become a leading biopharma company in 2030, we need to basically inject significant innovation into our business. And especially in pharma company, typically when you're talking about innovation, you're talking about R&D. For us, it was very, very clear, also looking into the ecosystem, innovation needs to touch everything, the entire value chain, starting from, of course, R&D, and we'll talk about it in a second, but also supply chain, also operation, commercial. Everything should participate in this innovation journey and innovate in order to help us to transform ourselves to where we want to be. Now, a personal story is that when we launched the strategy, the Pivot to Growth strategy, it was the beginning of 2030. And unfortunately, as we all know, October 7th happened late after. And we had a discussion that basically the board of Teva came to me and of course, to the CEO, Richard Francis. And we basically started the discussion about what Teva can do to Israel and what Israel can do to Teva as part of the new strategy. And we came with actually 2 programs. One, it's related to the topic we're talking about, but one is close to my heart as well, because the first thing that we initiated back then was Metaplim Banefesh, a very important program that Teva is still leading in Israel for the treatment and support of PTSD patients. And that was one cornerstone of what Teva can also do to the community in Israel. But from a business perspective, when we looked on the ecosystem of Israel, we saw that basically we have everything that we need in this type of, I would say, ecosystem lab in Israel. Because you have a great high-tech, you have a great life science capabilities, you have great research institutes, you have also the AI revolution that Israel is taking a significant part. So you have all the ingredients in a relatively small proximity, kind of like a lab, that you can inject yourself into it and start to play with this ecosystem for the solution that we're looking for. So basically, we established RISE. RISE is an open innovation platform. And we basically started to introduce ourselves back into the Israeli innovative ecosystem with a lot of friends and a lot of partners. But step by step, in 2+ years, we started to create this open innovation platform. Now, we started, first of all, with the classic one. It's the drug development, because we want to be the first pharma company that reach out and interact regarding any drug development that is being initiated in Israel, in the research institutes or any other companies. And that's, for us, I would say, part of our core as being pharma company. But we took that far, far further than that from an open innovation system. And simply just to give a concrete example, today we have 2 innovative open innovation hubs physically based in our Teva capabilities centers in Israel, already in motion, already operating. And by the end of the year, we're going to have 2 additional open innovation hubs in other locations in Israel, welcoming startups and other early stage companies to start to bring their innovation into those hubs, to interact with Teva capabilities, to understand the ability to take an idea and to bring it into a global scale in a global environment. So that's the beginning of the RISE program, and we still continue to push forward for that.
Great to see that you already have boots on the ground, as they say these days. So the Teva RISE initiatives launched just several months ago. How did the ecosystem respond? Were there any surprises in the quality or the diversity of the proposals? And will there be other challenges opened?
So I think in about 2 weeks, we're going to provide an update on RISE to the Teva board. And I was a bit concerned about that because it's quite new, okay? And we committed to a very high bar. And based on the update that I got from the teams, I'm extremely not only pleased, but extremely proud with the journey that we did with the ecosystem in a relatively short time. So let me give you a perspective. First of all, we identified 7 real business issues within the company, and again, not just in R&D, also in R&D, but a supply chain, operation, and so on and so on, that are critical with a very clear business case. And we introduced that as a challenge to many companies, startups in the Israeli ecosystem. We got more than 1,000 solutions to those 7 challenges. And these are mega events from a challenges point of view. We are now in the final stages of selecting the finalists for the 7 challenges. And not only that, the team also convinced us to add 2 more challenges. So altogether, we're going to have 9. One of them is in the patient engagement area, that is more commercial related. One of that is in the R&D formulation, which is more AI related. To add 2 more, simply because the demand was overwhelming and the quality of the solutions Not all of them, by the way, coming from the pharma industry. Most of them are actually not. The solutions are a very, very high quality solution. So we are extremely proud, and this is just the wave one of this open platform, innovation platform that we introduced in Teva.
So if I'm a founder sitting here in the crowd, what's in it for me? How can I apply? And
I think first of all, what is it for me? I think first of all, what Teva offers, it's the scale to global. Okay, we basically provide you Teva as a playground to take your ideas and to scale them in a real world with the Teva capabilities in many, many venues, in terms of skills, and to not only to experiment the idea and to bring it to fruition, but also to see how it will work in the global scale and to see the proof of concept of that through the value chain and so on. So that's point number one. The point number two is you get our commitment. We are here for tapping back into the ecosystem, not as a charity. We are coming back and tapping into the ecosystem because we truly, truly believe that there is a strong partnership, so you have someone that can run with you for the long run. This is not just an opportunity for us or an opportunistic act on our behalf. And last but not least, if there is a great idea and you want to interact about that, so you have the Teva team during today and tomorrow. We have our own booth as well, and we are open to have a good dialogue about any relevant idea that can be relevant for the Teva strategy as well.
Amazing. So on a personal note, maybe before we conclude, this year will be your 20-year anniversary at Teva. Looking back, what personally was the moment that had the greatest impact on you or meant something more for you?
Many, but I think, to me, I think the most significant thing that I learned in my 20 years in Teva, it's about two things that are important in business and any organization that proven to be critical, especially in the waves that Teva went through. It's people, and it's about purpose. And I think we have great people in Teva, and we've proven that again and again and again. If you combine that with a great culture and with great value, you can reinvent yourself again and again. And the second thing, it's the purpose. And I think at the end of the day, to be in a pharma company, an executive in a pharma company, it's a matter of, to be honest, it's a bit of a luxury, because your purpose is very, very clear. At the end of the day, you try to see the patient at the end of everything you're doing, and you have the privilege to bring type of, I would say in Hebrew, mazor, but a bit of health to people in need. And when you have those two combinations, you can always win.
Great. So thank you, Mark, and thank you, Yaakov and Corinne, for inviting us here.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.